I still code after my work. So I had to do more work.
Extra work, right? And
work.
I think that's very important for anyone watching this, because going through a bootcamp, you cannot expect yourself to magically get it at the same pace as other people, because everyone just learns at a different pace, and it's just being human. Put in extra hours, and I think it makes sense. When I was self-learning back in the days, I was coding 12 hours a day, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. every single day for 7 days a week. And sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, I was really thinking about what I want to do in my life.
Intrigued by the earning potential, he swiftly left university for a coding bootcamp.
I had to manually apply for jobs, and there was only one company that hires Flutter developer. So I didn't really reach out to them, but I just updated my LinkedIn profile. Luckily, the founder or the tech founder of the company, Caleb, he reached out to me on LinkedIn saying that, hey, you are interested in Flutter, let's have a meetup, coffee meetup, and talk about it. I was like, oh my god, this is working. I don't know, LinkedIn, right?
Hey guys, welcome to the 1% podcast. My name is Derek, and
Hi, my name is Haris.
so today I'm going to be interviewing Haris so that he can share his story about how he came into tech, and I think it's a very interesting one, so let's hear him out. So Haris, how do you feel today?
Feeling great actually. I had very good sleep. I had almost 8 hours, 40 minutes sleep.
Wow, whoa,
Yeah.
that's amazing. You sleep damn early yesterday, is it?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I had a very bad sleep yesterday.
Oh,
very
shit.
bad.
Why?
It's one of the only times in my life where I woke up due to headache.
Oh,
Had a very bad headache.
right.
Yesterday, I couldn't sleep well at all, and I had allergies, so my eyes are a little bit bengkak now. But in any case, today is not about sleep and all this kind of stuff. I was listening to this masterclass by the Dr. Matthew Walker about why we sleep on my
Ooh.
way here. So yeah, but today we're not talking about sleep. Today I want to ask you about your journey going into tech, and I think it's a very interesting one, and I think you would be a very good case study for our students. In fact, if you were our Sigma School student, I'm going to be slapping your face everywhere, honestly speaking, right?
Thank you, thank you.
So my first question is, how did it start? What were you doing before learning to code?
So before learning to code, I just graduated. Not graduated, but yes, you can say it's graduated from National Service. And then I was pursuing psychology in a degree, because back then I had a diploma in psychology. So the degree in psychology was a part-time degree, and at the same time, to have some money in, I was working part-time. So when people ask me what were you doing back then, I said I was paid to tell people not to touch plants. Right? So that was my job back then, and it was something that I was okay with. But after meeting a lot of people, I was thinking, is that it? Is that what am I supposed to do? For 4 years, I'm learning psychology and telling people not to touch plants.
Sorry, can you elaborate on that, just so our
job.
viewers know what it meant?
Yeah, so basically I was working at Gardens by the Bay. So it's a very, I would say, a popular garden.
Touristy spot, yeah.
Touristy spot for, in Singapore. And it was just a normal part-time job where, you handle tourists. So basically for me, I'm in charge of getting people in the domes. So those covered gardens where it's air conditioned, and then that's where I do the ticketing. At the same time also walk around the domes and tell people to not touch the plants.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you said you started thinking about what's life gonna be for you for the next 4 years.
I was really thinking about what I want to do in my life, because the people that was working was just coasting.
Right. No, I get it. And
Yeah.
it's okay too, right? I'm guessing in Singapore, working in Gardens by the Bay, it's okay. You
It's
can
okay.
get by, right?
Yeah, it's I was earning $1,000 per month.
Or is that minimum wage, or is that worth the minimum
That's
wage?
a part-time job
Right.
wage. So it's you could say in
You're
Malaysia,
working, how much were you working?
I was working maybe 3-4 times a week. My
3-4, how many hours per week?
per hour is per day was around maybe 8.
It's a full
6 to
day.
8
It's
hours.
6 to 8 hours for 3 days
so
a
it's
week.
3 to 4 days per
That's
week.
not bad. So if you prorate the amount, it's gonna be around 1.5 to 2K Sing per month.
No. It's I think my pay was around $7 to $6 per hour.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that minimum wage in Singapore?
There's no minimum wage in Singapore.
Oh, interesting.
You can, but I'm not gonna talk about that.
Yep.
So I was roughly earning around that, and
Around that amount.
I guess my highest was 1.5.
And,
but
and
I
you
had
were
to work a
studying
lot.
at the same time.
Yes, I was studying at the same time. So I didn't work a full-time job because I was
So
studying.
back then, this is all before learning to code and before tech, before you even thought about going to the industry. what were you planning to pursue after your
Degree,
studies?
right?
Yep.
So I was thinking to just, pursue in being a psychologist.
Psychologist.
Yeah,
Like a
so-
clinical psychologist?
Yeah, clinical psychologist. And after going through the psychology education and also a little bit of the industry itself, you probably have to have a master's. So
Yeah,
meaning
clinical
after
you're a doctor, right? It's a long path.
Yes, it's a very long path. So you have to have a minimum of a master's to actually practice psychology. Otherwise, you just do a lot of research.
Right. So why didn't you continue with that? What's wrong with doing research and
Nothing
doing
wrong,
masters?
but at the same time, I also had to be realistic. So not only I was learning psychology, I have to compete with people in other schools or universities, right? So my part-time university wasn't the best, not the most known as well. And I had to compete with, National University of Singapore, one of the top universities in the world. And then at the same time, there's also other universities that's better than mine.
Right.
So realistically, it doesn't make sense for me to, go through psychology to compete with people who have better degrees and, learnings and I guess internship opportunity. Because for me, as a part-time degree, I don't have internship opportunities. It's just
So you left because you thought you were thinking rationally and realistically that it would be hard for you to compete.
Exactly.
But what about the angle of your interest and your passion with psychology?
So I would say passion is a passion, right? And it can be paid or not paid. And the thing about psychology is that you can have it as a passion, as a non-paid career. You
Right.
can learn on your own.
So your mindset was back then,
Yeah.
you went to university for the sake of getting a job-ready skill.
Yes,
and that's why
exactly.
you wanted to focus on something that's job-ready. And the moment you realized that psychology couldn't give you that back then, due to your own reasoning, you decided to then, do you drop out?
Yes, I did drop out.
Alright.
So after one semester,
One
after the exam, I think I scored pretty okay.
Okay.
I was
Was it a big decision to drop out?
It was actually, because I was already telling my mom that I'm gonna pursue this part-time degree, and then after that, when I decided to really think about whether this is for me, then my mom was telling me, are you sure, are you sure, are you sure? So for me, I was I'm pretty sure. And the thing is that before telling my mom that I'm sure to take the plunge of something new, I already planned what was that something new, which was coding. So the story goes that after my exam, I read this article. I just chanced upon this article where it shared about this A-level student. She scored very well. She had many offers from universities to study in their universities, but she chose to go through this thing called coding bootcamp, which was like a 3 to 4 months full-time kind of course to learn coding so that you can be equipped to be a software developer. So I was thinking to myself, okay, software developer, so what, right? I Googled how much a software developer can earn. Once I Googled software developer salary, right, immediately I saw the 6 figures, and that's where I knew that was something that shit, is it too good to be true, So then I researched a lot more. I went to the rabbit hole of people getting jobs as a software developer, and they do earn, maybe not 6 figures, but they do earn above average, because back then the demand for tech was very high, and I think still now is. So then that's why I had to decide whether I want to continue psychology or whether I want to take the plunge to become a software developer.
Okay.
And then for me, it was I would say an easier path or easier decision, because I feel that there's more opportunities in tech than psychology. That's a fact,
Okay.
right? And that's why I jumped to go through the coding book.
What was the first thing you did after you left your degree?
What was the first thing? I don't remember. But I think the most prominent experience was just to tell my mama that I'm going to quit my university.
So between quitting university to starting the boot camp, how long did it take?
Actually, yeah, I would say I don't remember, but around 1 month to really research on this thing. And then at the same time, I was already committed to being a software developer, but the question was, should I be a self-taught software developer or should I go through a coding bootcamp?
Right.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to go with a boot camp? Because I'm a self-taught guy, and I
Yeah.
didn't go the boot camp route, even though I'm running a boot camp now.
Yeah.
I do see merits to both angles, so there's obviously no right or wrong in this discussion, but I want to hear from you. As someone who were, let's be clear on the context here, back then you were struggling to make ends meet. You were working as a, I would say, pretty low-wage part-timer in a, Gardens by the Bay, which is okay and respectable as well. Let me just make that clear first. However, you were not the best when it comes to finances. I think you were, to a certain extent, struggling a little bit. And is it true that you took a lot of your savings to go for this bootcamp? How much was it?
So this bootcamp originally was around, I would say, let's estimate, because I don't remember the exact number, but let's estimate to 10,000 Singapore dollars. But the government had a subsidy where if you were to join the coding bootcamp and get a job, then you only need to pay 25%, which is
2.5K Sing, right?
Yeah.
And was that an affordable amount for you back then?
No.
How much do you have in your savings?
I think in my savings, I had around maybe close to 2K lah, in a sense.
Wow.
Yeah. So I had to work.
You went all in, bro.
Yeah, I went all in. I went all. So they had
Okay.
like a 3-month installment or 3 to 4 month installment.
All right.
So I just had to pay the installment part.
So basically
And
700,
yeah,
800,
so
something like that.
800 roughly, 800 to that. And at the same time, I was using my own money lah.
Okay, so what made you decide to go all in, put everything in this one basket and go all in into bootcamp rather than just, try it out yourself? Because that's what I did. And I couldn't justify back then, for me, I couldn't justify because I didn't have the cash flow as well.
So I would say that there wasn't like any prominent or any standout moment. I just said, F it, just join the bootcamp, because I really need this push, because I can't just coast around anymore in this degree that I hope to get a job.
Wait,
right?
so between the uni and the bootcamp, how long was it again?
Between the uni and the bootcamp,
Yeah,
meaning
between the day you left the
decision?
uni, the day you left uni, the last day of your uni, to the day you started the bootcamp. What this time?
I
the
think
time frame?
roughly around a month.
Oh, it's a very close
Very
gap,
close,
right?
very
So
close.
were you learning to code in that 1 month, or you were not?
Yes, I was.
You
I
were
was
doing it
learning
yourself.
code. Because to join this bootcamp, they had a test.
Right.
And then they had this little 2 text liner. Only 20% of people who applied will get accepted to the bootcamp. So I was like, okay, if I'm all in, I need to be serious about it.
Right.
So I really learned, I think, JavaScript or Python.
What
I
was your
forgot.
decision making what were you considering when it came to choosing a bootcamp?
Okay, price. Number one is just price, because I really
Is
didn't
that
have
it?
money. Yeah,
Is that it?
legit.
Or were they the
price.
cheapest in the market? Because I think 2.5K
No.
Sing
They
is
were,
still not-
they were the cheapest. So there were other bootcamps out there, but they were the cheapest because I really couldn't afford the better ones, or the
So
one
if you
that's more
found
known.
Sigma School at a cheaper price back then, you would have joined Sigma
I probably
School,
will.
right?
Yeah, but
Okay.
back then, I think the one that really, I think all bootcamps back then were physical.
Right.
Yeah, so I think for Sigma School, we are an online bootcamp, which is also, I would say, beneficial. But a physical bootcamp is just different because you get to be in a classroom.
Right.
setting,
It's a matter of preference, right?
Exactly.
At this point, right?
So
Okay.
for me, it's just price. And then at the same time, also what got me into joining them is because they had a free trial.
Right.
So I went to their free trial, and it was actually pretty good. It was very inviting, meaning I went to the free trial, and then after that I met people who had the similar mindset as me to jump into the
Yep.
coding bootcamp as well. And the person who was teaching wasn't teaching coding; he was teaching how to create user stories and create your own projects.
Okay, but you liked
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I liked it. It's okay, pretty cool. It's
You could relate to it, because if it was too technical, you would have been stuck, right?
Maybe. I
Okay,
don't know.
you don't know
But
anymore,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. But it's I feel back then was okay, I can trust them. I can put my money investment into them.
Okay, so just to understand, you chose a bootcamp instead of doing the self-taught
Taught,
way.
yeah.
It's mostly because you wanted a structure and you wanted to
I mean,
just
okay.
go all in.
Yeah, I really don't know, but I think time matters. Because for self-taught, it's it depends on how disciplined you are, right? So for me, I was thinking I can just pay this 2.7K and see how it goes after 4 months, or I can just not coast by, but I try my best to go through
So
this,
basically, you were not
self-taught.
as confident in just doing it yourself, lah.
Correct.
Basically,
Even
right?
though I had the structure because I just Googled.
Yeah.
And then they have all this. I forgot there's a 3-month.
Right. It's just a
roadmap.
matter of which one you want to stick with, right? And I think it's interesting how you immediately chose to go for a boot camp without even facing the pain of self-learning. Because for me, I was self-learning, and I can tell you that there's a million structures out there, right? You can find a 3-month curriculum and you find a 4-month, then you just jump around between them. Once it gets tough, you jump to another one. Once it gets tough, you jump to another. That's why I took a way longer time, I would say, relative to you, right?
Yeah.
So okay, so that's a bootcamp. So how was the experience for the bootcamp? Did you enjoy it? Any feedback?
Yeah, so the bootcamp itself, I would say, is that it is, looking back, it's not very structured, but there is a push for you to actually do work, to code.
Do you appreciate that push?
Of course.
Oh, you
like, you are put in an environment where you literally are compared with other students. So for me, right, I was really serious. I was really serious about getting software developer role. And then the first few weeks was quite tough because it was very intense, a lot of concepts, a lot of projects you need to build, a lot of things that you get confused. So other than it's not being very, in a sense, I mean, in a way it is still structured because every day you learn something new, but at the same time it was very intensive because every week you have to build a project. So it can be a simple, like I remember the first week was we tried to create like a tic-tac-toe using your terminal. I think for a beginner, I think it's pretty tough because terminal is something
in the first week.
Yeah, in the first week.
That's tough, right?
Yeah, I know it is tough. And then I managed to got it because we do a lot of Googling, we go through Stack Overflow, we see a lot of tutorials, and then after that we try how to make the tic-tac-toe game, which I think most of us did pass that. So the next part was creating an AI where when you put an X maybe at the middle, then what does the AI bot do next?
Wow, that's not easy.
Yeah, so
in the first week.
Yeah, in the first week. So that was like the optional challenge which a lot of us struggled with, and I think some of the students tried to create it, but it's from like a tutorial on how to do that. Yeah, so understanding how to do that is a little bit tough, but I would say that for me as a person, I like that push because it made me really be serious about what I wanted to learn. And then it's not only that, because right, everyone has to present their projects. So you will literally see people who are way faster and better than you who present their projects, and then when it comes to my turn, where I had no experience, my project was not working, my project was bare bones, and then that really was quite tough on me because I was quite demotivated because at the same time,
which is common when it comes to programming.
It is very common.
Were there any points in your time in a bootcamp where you considered dropping out?
No,
never.
Did
anyone drop out in your bootcamp?
No
one dropped out.
Yeah, but I would say it's also because of when you go and apply for these subsidies, if you don't complete the program, you have to pay like 70% instead of 25%.
Right. So there is an innate incentive for people to just grind it out, right? Because it's not for free. You gotta deliver, right?
Exactly.
Very smart of the Singaporean government. Very smart. Very smart.
I would say that nobody dropped out, but I would say at the same time, not many, or I would say, half of us, roughly there, got jobs after the bootcamp. Half of us didn't. Either went back to the jobs or just do something.
Just moved on with life, basically, right?
Yeah. So even if you graduate, it doesn't mean that you will or can get a software developer role. But getting back to the bootcamp itself, right? I think the tough part is just you have to study on your own because the instructor will be there maybe until 2, and then from 2 to 6, that's where you're alone, with your teammates. But
yeah, you know what? Run me through a typical day in life when you were still in the bootcamp.
So I would say that you come to class around 9 a.m. and then after that there will be a lecture maybe for 1 to 2 hours, and then after that there will be a project that you need to do. So then that's where it requires you to either work by yourself, or if there's pair work, you work with your pair, or if there's group work, you work with your group.
For the rest of the day, basically.
For the rest of your day.
It's a self-paced kind of thing?
In a sense, yeah.
And
then there's a assistant as well, which is good because you can ask questions for the assistant, but the assistant will be also handling
very busy,
with other students.
Because
so
there's many students.
It's quite tough in a sense that you don't have personalized learning, but at the same time, it also mimics on like when you become a software developer, you are on your own.
So day in life is you go there at 9 a.m., listen to a lecture for 2 to 3 hours, then for the rest of the day you sit down with your friends and just code, solve challenges and do projects
and all that.
What was the hardest part about this whole journey? If there's one thing.
I think the hardest part in this coding bootcamp is that you really have to perform even if you suck. Because that bootcamp really showed me the better ones and the not so better ones, and I was the not so better ones.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that point was something that was tough on me because like I could just say F it and just not continue with it, or I can just push through it.
Did the fact that you have to pay back the grant play a role in making you push through it?
I wouldn't say so, because for me the more painful problem was my career.
Yep. So
I can get another 2K by just working, but I don't want to go back to become a person who tells people to touch plants
to not touch plants.
Yeah, to not touch plants, right? But at the same time, like, that's a more painful situation for me, because I want to do more. I want to earn more. I want to do more.
So how do you overcome it?
I just have to keep on coding. I had to literally in the weekends. Okay, in the weekends I had to work, but at the same time I still do my work after. I still code after my work. So I had to do more work.
Extra work, right? And I
work.
think that's very important for anyone watching this, because going through a bootcamp, you cannot expect yourself to magically get it at the same pace as other people, because everyone just learns at a different pace, and it's just being human, right? And if you're a bit slower, it's not on you. Just got to put in extra hours, and I think it makes sense. When I was self-learning back in the days, I was coding 12 hours a day, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. every single day for 7 days a week, and sometimes you just got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah.
So if you could turn back time to go back to the days where you were in a coding bootcamp, what would you do differently?
So I would say that if I have more money, I will hire a personal teacher. I will find people to help me teach me. Because back then, yes, there is the instructor, there is the assistant, but the assistant wasn't helping me when I really need help. So I really need more help. So meaning that I need a personal assistant or whatever like a personal instructor to just go through with me on what this.
Really, do you think that's what a student learning to code would have needed? Someone sitting next to them to just guide them?
I mean, I would say it really depends. Okay, for me, it's not to a point where I depend on this assistant. I just need to explain to me why there is a problem, and then I'll just work but at the same time, there's pros and cons, right? You cannot be too dependent on help, because it doesn't train you to become an independent software developer, right? So I would say even without that additional help, right, I would say that I would not do anything differently, to be honest lah. I wouldn't do anything differently, because at that point of time, even with my knowledge right now, there isn't much I can do more, because I really did all I can to really push through.
This was during the bootcamp, right?
Yes.
If you could go back in time, would you still have went to the bootcamp?
Yes, I would. I would definitely go back through the bootcamp, because that if I didn't go through that hardship, right, I wouldn't be where I am right now. Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to say about the bootcamp? Maybe basically from your experience. Let's say someone's watching this, whether they're considering Sigma School or any other schools out there, any other bootcamps out there, right? Is there anything you want to say to them?
I would say that really push through, because I was one of the slowest students. I was really one of the slowest students.
How big was your batch?
I will around 10.
Oh, that's a very small batch. All
Yeah.
Singaporeans.
Yeah, I mean, it's an average kind of batch, 10 to 20, but in that it was 10. And then I would say I was the second slowest or third slowest student in the sense.
Is it because the rest had experience already, or?
Some of them had. Some
Right.
of them are just quicker at learning.
Yeah.
I'm just not as quick.
Yeah, it's very common because people start at different points, and I think that's one very important thing to take note if you're joining a bootcamp. It's that you may be on your day 1 at a bootcamp, but someone may be on their day 50 already.
Yeah.
They've been self-learning for 2 months, and then
Yeah.
they join a bootcamp. So obviously they're going to be faster than you, right?
Correct,
and for me, I'm a firm believer that you can learn anything you want. It's just a matter of time.
Yes, and for me is to have to end the story well. I was the first person to finish the exam.
Oh.
Yeah, and pass. Yeah. So I was the slowest student, the second or third slowest student, I think. And then the final exam to graduate, I was the first one to finish it.
Do you mind me asking what was the final
Exam.
project or exam?
It was
or
just
whatever?
creating a simple, okay, it's not simple. It was just creating a movie review application. So you have an existing project that's a little bit wonky, so got a bit of bugs, so you need to resolve that. And then at the same time, you need to build on top of it.
Right.
So it was just a plain HTML, CSS project, and then you have to implement back then I was learning Ruby on Rails, so I had to implement MVC. So I implemented MVC with a SQL database, and then I didn't care about
That's it?
design.
That's it?
I just said
Good days, man. Back in the days when doesn't sound too complicated to me. Our projects now are
very hard.
Our projects
MVC
now are
is one
so
of the harder concepts to learn.
I mean, relative to the projects that we have now, this sounds like cakewalk to me.
I would say that if you want to talk about like technical understanding and easiness, right? MVC, Model View Controller, for those who are listening who don't know anything, I would say it's a little bit harder than learning state management. Because MVC, you need to learn models, you need to learn the controllers and views. So for React, right, where we are teaching, I would say it's actually easier because it's just mainly functions. While Model Views Controller, you need to learn classes, and when you learn classes, it's
but you don't have to mess with anything to do with DevOps, CI/CD, cloud,
but
authentication.
there's additional stuff. But the main gist is the full stack application or learning, right? MVC, I would say is.
I'm just saying it's a completely different beast if you
Yes,
compare
it is.
the end project that we have here
Correct.
relative to what we have back in the days.
Correct,
Because I heard stories of people just landing a job by just building a very simple vanilla JavaScript app.
I mean, that was back then, lah.
Back then things
coding
were.
wasn't-
It seems like it's a much different ballgame compared to what we have today.
Exactly.
These guys are asking for I need someone who can do Vue.js with Express backend. He can
If you
run
want
your
to
own.
compare, I would say that there's no excuse for you to learn because there's ChatGPT.
There's no excuse for you to learn.
to learn like anything well because you have ChatGPT.
There's no excuse not to learn anything.
Sorry, not to learn. Sorry,
Right.
to learn.
Okay.
Sorry, my bad. There's no excuse for you not to learn anything because there's ChatGPT. Because back then, when we were both learning, there wasn't a personal assistant to help us understand concepts. There wasn't back then. I think the video tutorials that we went through wasn't as good as now, right?
Yeah.
So we had to learn. We actually went through harder things. I mean, previous people will also say the same thing, but it doesn't matter because we didn't have what you guys have right now. Better tutorials, better tools to use, and there's like AI tools for you to create better things and to code better, right? So yeah.
So after graduation, right? What was the first thing you did?
After graduation, I immediately wanted to find a job. Actually, before graduation, I was already finding a job.
What were you thinking? Fang job or any job?
Any job.
Any job.
Any freaking job. Because I know,
What if it was WordPress? No.
Doesn't, to be honest, right?
Back then you didn't.
Back then, it really doesn't matter. Because back then, I literally had no degree. I literally had nothing on my resume except for diploma in psychology and drama.
Right.
Literally nothing related to tech. So, and for me, the bootcamp, in my mindset, in my opinion, I don't depend on the bootcamp for the jobs. Even though they say, oh, we're going to help you. It's like, no. I'm going to find a job, right? I know that if you can find me a job, everyone will have a job. So it's like, in a way, like too good to be true. They did have an event where they bring in people, hiring partners, people interested to hire us. But at the same time, like, I think none of us gotten jobs from that event or people
Really?
hiring partners. They got it from just applying for a job.
Just gotta do what works.
Just gotta do, because they only for example, they bring in 5 people. You need hundreds of you need to apply
you
a
need
lot.
hundreds of applications to just grind it through.
Exactly.
It's not,
It's not. For me, I already had the mindset of like not expecting the bootcamp to land me a job. It's on me to get a job itself. So literally any tech job.
Right. So
Literally any tech
between
job.
the day you graduated your bootcamp, wait, sorry, just a quick question. Did you celebrate after your bootcamp?
A bit, and then
What do you do? What was the celebration?
It was just like because we had like a final capstone project event where we presented our projects to like potential hiring partners or people who want to hire us.
Those 5 guys who no one hired, is it?
Right. It was actually quite a lot of people.
Oh,
so
a lot of people
who are interested to join the bootcamp, people who
Prospects.
are interested, hiring us, people who are just there for a free event.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, because we got free pizza.
Free food.
Yeah. But
Right.
either way, so I think I only met 5 people. Some were startup founders, some were people who are already like recruiters. So these are people that I met, but I knew that even if I applied to them,
Why?
I wouldn't get a job
Why?
because they were looking for people more experienced than us.
Then
from
why were
my
they there?
understanding. Because they maybe they want to find goal and it's a free event.
They just wanted to just try it out.
Try it out,
see
see
what
how
they
it
get out
goes.
of it,
But
right?
I don't know what's the actual thing, but whatever the case
Right.
is, right?
So they were all
Yeah.
there for different reasons.
Different reasons,
Okay.
talk or whatever lah. So And then at the same time, yeah, I just celebrated for a bit after the event.
What was the celebration?
It was just like a simple dinner, talk a bit, and then we just left.
Call it a day.
Call it a day. Yeah. For
How
me,
long was that? 3 months or 4 months?
For the bootcamp was 3 months.
3 months only.
Yeah.
That's very fast. It's
Yeah,
very, very, very
to,
fast.
okay, I would say 3.5 months, roughly there lah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's
yeah.
very, very fast. Would you say it's a very good, memorable 3 months of your life?
I would say that it is something that I will remember. Whether it's good or bad, it's a mix lah.
It
'cause
changed your career trajectory, and I think that
definitely,
means a lot,
literally
right?
changed my life lah.
Changed your life, right?
Yeah, because it opened
So anyone
up to,
considering a bootcamp, should they do it?
it really depends on what your goal is,
Finances as well, right?
finances and all of that, right?
But you went all in though.
I did well in all in because for me it was a huge pain to push me to get a job. Because-
The biggest pain was? Or what was the biggest pain?
The biggest pain was, okay, I think for a lot of people in my boot camp back then was money. Because they were
Make
burning
more.
cash while they were learning. They weren't earning. Yeah, so that's number one. Number two is that for me, my biggest pain, like I said earlier, it's I want to have something better.
Something
I don't want to be average. If average was that's a shitty average. I want to be an average that's above average. Yeah. So that's me. That's my goal. Like I want to
So
do
do you
something
think
bigger.
someone who's considering learning to code or joining a bootcamp requires that fire within them?
I would say that yes, because the coding bootcamp, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's going to be very hard. But at the same time, the tech industry, why I like the tech industry because right, if you cannot reach your first full-time job, then it's going to be
The beauty about the tech industry is you can't fluff things through.
You can't- yeah,
At least
exactly.
as a coder, as a project manager, maybe, right? But as a coder, as the guy moving the bricks, the guy doing the work, you cannot fluff it through. It's either you can code or you can't code. And
Literally, you can
tell
see.
me, you can tell me everything about drawing Kanban boards and managing issues and all that. I'm like, great, but show me your code. And I'm like, where are your commits? And if I can't see it, then it's just like, okay, what are
Exactly.
you doing, right? It's very clear.
It's
Okay.
very, very clear. Yeah.
Cool. So what were you doing before you landed from the day you graduated your bootcamp to the day you landed your first job? What was that job and how long did it take?
I was still, because for me I had like a backup plan in the sense that I was still working my part-time job,
Which
because
is?
I need the
Gardens by the Bay.
Gardens by the Bay.
So you went back to Gardens by the Bay.
No, I was still working.
Oh, you
during
you were working throughout.
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 Yeah,
Even during your bootcamp, you were working
Exactly.
on weekends.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just to make ends meet.
Exactly.
But what kind of expenses did you have back in the days? Though you were staying with
Just
parents.
food and transport and a bit of like fun here and there, like rock climbing or running or hang out with friends lah.
Okay.
But there wasn't like huge expenses. It was just like very, yeah lah.
Wow.
It wasn't a lot. Like I can say like even for $1,000, I can save up to 40%, 400. So my expenses wasn't a lot.
So it's more for savings purposes.
Savings, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
So yeah, let's get back to the question.
So I was still working after I graduated because at the same time I need money, right? So I was like looking for jobs, applying for jobs, asking people in my groups of like part-timers whether they have people interested in hiring software developers. So for those who are interested, number one thing is to just use your pool of network, friends, families, or your part-time colleagues, right? And then, I was looking, asking, and then one of my part-time colleague heard that I was looking for a tech role, and she said, "Hey, my company is actually hiring interns. Do you think you want to, apply?" I said, "Yes, let's go. Let's do
How
it."
did you feel when you heard that? Were you very happy, or were you like, I don't want an internship. I want a full-time role.
I don't care because my goal was to make my resume good so that I can find better opportunities.
How much do they pay interns in Singapore?
1,000.
Which is the pay that you had with Gardens by the Bay, lah, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So for me, it's like it's an easy choice for me. 1,000 telling people not to touch plants, or 1,000 learning tech. Okay, let's go. Let's
because
go
the
to
difference
that.
now is you're getting paid to learn.
Exactly.
Whereas during the bootcamp, you were paying to learn, right? So
Yes.
now you're getting paid to learn, and it's like a no-brainer. It's like
Exactly.
an internship is for you to learn how to work with developers and work on. Were you working on production systems already?
Okay, so for that internship, it wasn't because I guess like I really wanted to just have a tech internship in my resume. So my job back then was a lot of teaching.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So you
which
were
was
somewhat of
not
a...
very good, but at the same
No,
time,
it's okay because you're still
It's like-
learning anyways.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. But at the same time, I was like kind of disappointed because I want to do coding.
Right.
Yeah, because I want to be a software developer. But it's fine because like, what else do I have? I don't have any like a lot more opportunities. So I
Okay.
just
No, I think it's great. I
Yeah,
honestly
yeah.
think it's a
no, I think it's
W.
great. Yeah,
It's a win.
But
It's a win.
back
A win's a
then-
win, bro.
Yeah. Back then, Haris didn't
Yep,
see it
yeah, back then.
because Haris wanted to. Back then, Haris
Yeah,
wanted
yeah.
to be a software developer. But
Right. So
like,
wait,
yeah.
from the day you graduated bootcamp to the day you landed this tech job, take this what do you call it, tech instructor role,
Yeah.
something like that. Were you an instructor? Or?
Yeah, an instructor.
teaching?
Yeah, I was
Oh
teaching.
wow, who were you teaching to as an intern?
Secondary school, primary
All
school
right,
students.
kids are basically.
Kids.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool,
yeah.
cool. And
So,
how long
yeah.
was that for?
I think from graduation, I think it was November, 1 month. So from
Oh, just 1 month. That's
just
very
1 month,
fast.
yeah. Because
Wait,
for me,
but
I don't
for that
have,
1
I
month, you were
wasn't
still
picky.
working at Gardens by the Bay.
Yes, that 1 month I was working by
Not
the
bad.
Gardens by the Bay, but I was like applying for jobs. I was
How
like,
was your application process like, and what would you do better? I'm sure it would have been
yeah.
sucky.
So yes, yeah. That's actually a very good question. So basically, like how I did back then was just applying. My resume was not very good. It was I would say it was showing a lot of what I did before the bootcamp, which was
Let
applied
me ask
drama
you
and
two
psychology.
questions. Did you have a portfolio website?
I have a. That's actually very. I think I did.
Okay, cool.
I'm not
Did you have
sure.
your projects deployed?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you did?
I
Not
did.
bad.
I did.
Not
Yeah,
bad,
yeah.
not
Bro,
bad.
I come prepared. I come prepared, brother.
Not bad.
Yeah.
No, because you'd be shocked. Most people actually don't have those two things. Those two very, very like
Important.
level one kind of thing where
Yep.
if you want to get a job, you got to showcase what you have. And the easiest way to showcase is here's a damn link, harisamingan.com, something like that, right?
Yep.
So you had those things. Sure not.
I don't know about my.
Show me now. Show me proof.
I don't know about my. I think I did have my portfolio because I posted on GitHub page.
Okay,
So confirm
so-
have lah.
Okay.
But the project itself confirmed because it was a final capstone project we deploy in Heroku back then.
Okay.
Yeah, and then at the same time.
Backend as well. On Heroku.
With the backend as well. So at the same time, I was also creating my own side projects, which is I call it like it's a confession website to confess about good things that happen to you.
Ooh.
Positive confessions. Yeah. So I was doing that already, and that helped me to like just make a project. And one thing, so people who are trying to apply for jobs is that number one, have a portfolio link that is working. Number two is have a portfolio project outside of whatever you graduated from, whether it's a coding bootcamp or a university, because that's something that people want to know. Because a lot of times as a software developer, you need to code on your own. You don't have, lecturers to depend on or instructors to depend on. You usually have to depend on yourself.
What about algorithms? How were your algorithms?
No, okay, I'm not like, I don't think my algorithms was good. I didn't big O notation. I didn't know recursion. I didn't
At
know
all?
at all. Nothing.
Do you think it's important to know these things?
For me personally, from my experience, no. Because most of the time, you just need to break the problems down. And if you're able to, even if you do in pseudocode, I think that's already good enough. Yeah. So that's me lah. Maybe other people, if you want to go to the FANG company, of course you need to know these CS things. But if you want to go to small or startups, I don't think they care.
Is
Because
that why you landed a tech instructor?
no, for me,
role?
I don't care because it is and is something to ends to a meet to the end.
And ends to a mean. Means
Means
to an end. Means
yes.
to an end.
It is means to an end because I don't care. I need to get tech experience. Whether if I'm teaching or not, I'm getting in front of people who knows tech, and people who knows tech usually knows people in tech.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't really care. For me, it's just I want to get the experience. And then at the same time, I cannot just depend on the
bootcamp, right?
the internship as
The
well.
internship, right?
Because during the internship, I really wanted to become a
developer.
mobile developer.
Okay, so that was when
specifically.
you. So next topic now, right?
Correct,
Because
correct.
that's where you realized your interest in mobile development. So how long after you graduated? You waited 1 month. You got your first internship as somewhat of an instructor. How long were you doing the instructor work for?
For that whole instructor work, I think I really forget. Maybe it was around, was it 6 months or 3 months?
Okay,
I
it's
forgot.
fine. So 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
And at what point did you realize your interest for mobile?
Oh, before the bootcamp.
Oh, right.
So,
you've always been looking into Flutter.
Yeah.
It's just
No,
that
not Flutter. Mobile app
mobile
development.
iOS.
Yeah. So initially, I never really shared just now, but the bootcamp had offered web development and mobile app development. I chose mobile app development, but then they didn't have enough students.
Okay.
So they say, hey, Haris, I know that you're interested in mobile app development, but we didn't have enough students. So we have to push you to the web development. Is because also most of the time people start with web
in
development.
hindsight, do you think that's a good decision?
I don't know, to be honest, because maybe good or bad doesn't matter. But for me, I knew that I wanted to become a mobile app developer lor. So during my internship, I had to self-learn mobile app development. I was searching up what mobile app development framework came about. So Flutter was one of them. Yeah.
So you self-learn Flutter basically?
Yeah, self-learn Flutter. And
Amazing.
then my mentor literally said to me, Haris, you know Flutter is created by Google? Yes. You know Google kill a lot of their products. I was like, really? He's like, yeah. We I think used Google something and then it was dead. So this Flutter, I'm just telling you, this Flutter might be the dead one in the future. And I was like, okay. But in my mind, I don't care. I think you can say that I don't really care, and I just do what I think is something that I believe in. I believe in the bootcamp, I did it. I believe in Flutter, I did it. Right?
What was the most painful part when it came to your job search process?
So before and during my internship, right, where I was still job searching because I wanted a full-time job, right, the most painful process I would say was getting rejected to be a full-timer in my internship.
The instructor.
Yeah, because I like teaching. After a while,
Right,
I
you
like
actually
teaching,
enjoyed it.
and then I think I can do things with them, right?
Yeah.
But
So basically, initially you wanted to go into the route as a full-time actual developer, but what you got was a teaching internship. But throughout the internship, you realized your passion for teaching.
Yeah.
And also you were learning on the side, so
Yeah.
it was kind of going together.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and then was that also when you started your YouTube thing?
my YouTube thing, meaning like what?
You started doing content on social media.
Yes.
That
also,
was it during that time when
Yes.
you're doing your internship?
correct.
Great. So you
Yeah.
were linking all that together, your skills in teaching and your skills with tech and your skills with self-learning Flutter, and then you built something for yourself. back
Yeah,
then.
in a sense.
So you wanted a full-time role and then you got rejected.
Yes. So for me, it wasn't the painful part of learning, painful part of
Why did they
getting-
reject you?
Because I think they didn't see a fit me in their company.
How come?
I don't know, to be honest. They were like not finding, they say like they don't have any positions for me. Or
So it's not a
whatnot
you
lah.
thing. Maybe it could be just they don't need a full-time person for this
Yeah,
job,
yeah,
basically,
probably.
right?
Even
Okay.
though they are struggling to find instructors. But yes.
Maybe they no cash flow. I don't know.
No.
Maybe they want to make more law. They
Okay,
can just-
whatever the reason is, I believe is that I didn't make a good impression on them so that they can, hire some. Because one of their instructors left. So yeah, like one of their full-timers left. He was like an instructor / developer / everything lah.
So
right?
you would have been
A replacement to him.
a good replacement.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But for
they
whatever reason,
rejected. Then I was like kind of bummed out lah for a while. And then I was like, okay, if I
did that affect your confidence?
a bit I would say. But in the end, I was like, I just had to
Move on.
I had to move on.
Okay, so 6 months and then you didn't get a confirmation for your full-time position, and then
Yeah. And then I had to find a job. I literally had to find another job again because I don't want to stay there. I could stay there internship for a year because they don't really care.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you intern for us, sure, whatever, right? So for me, I was like, okay, after 6 months, okay, I think it's 6 months. After 6 months, I really want to get a software developer job, and I want to be very specific. I want to get a Flutter developer. So Flutter is basically a mobile app framework. And one thing to take note is Flutter back then was not fully released. It wasn't public.
Correct.
And I really took a freaking huge risk to learn Flutter and at the same time finding a Flutter developer role. So I had two choices back then to find a full-time developer role, right? One is to find one in a company, another one is to freelance. That was my two options. And I made it sure that I'm going to quit in 6 months,
Quit what?
the internship.
I thought you quit after 6 months.
I mean, don't spoil the story. but okay, so basically, there wasn't an end time for my internship. He said I could just intern for them for as long as I want.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, right. So you haven't ended it yet
Haven't
at that
ended
point.
yet.
Okay,
Yeah,
got
yeah.
it.
So
got
there
it.
wasn't like a timeline like, oh, Haris, you will end your
Got it.
internship in 4 months.
Got it,
They
got
say
it.
like, oh, you can intern with us as long as you want.
You're not going to be a full-timer, but you can intern as long as you want.
Exactly.
Basically,
Correct,
right?
correct,
But
correct.
at that point, you were already planning your
Yeah,
leave.
my exit already lah. So for me, I told myself I'm gonna like end at the 6 month of my internship to get a job, whether it's
matter what.
freelance, no matter what.
Okay.
So what I had to do was I had to find ways. So number one is I go to hackathons to find people to get jobs or events or hackathons. Then number two is that I had to manually apply for jobs. And there was only one company that hires Flutter developer. So I didn't really reach out in Singapore. I didn't really reach out to them, but I just updated my LinkedIn profile. And then the founder...
Why didn't you reach out to them?
Okay, I don't know whether I reached out, but like, I don't know. I don't know what was the reason why.
Okay.
But luckily, the founder or the tech founder of the company, Caleb, he reached out to me on LinkedIn saying that, hey, you are interested in Flutter, let's have a meetup, coffee meetup and talk about it. I was like, oh my God, this is working. I don't know, LinkedIn, right? So yeah, then we met up physically and then we talked about Flutter. And he shared with me that he was, creating a mobile application for his startup
Amazing.
in Flutter. So I was like, oh my God, can I intern for you? And it's like, yeah, sure. And I was like, oh my God, that's perfect, right? So then, I applied to his startup.
How did that feel?
Amazing, really.
Was that an internship first?
Yeah, it was an internship.
What was your pay, if you don't mind sharing?
Another 1,000.
Another 1,000,
Yeah.
okay.
For me, it's like I said, easy choice. 1,000 in the internship, not
That was never going to confirm you anyways.
exactly,
Versus
or another one that
where you working with Flutter, which is your favorite tech stack
which
at
was
that point.
what I believed in back then. So
Sorry, just a quick sidetrack, a very quick one.
Sure.
Why do you choose Flutter over React Native?
I'm a person who likes to choose things that's not normal.
Is that the best answer you can give me?
Yes. Basically, I'm not. In all honesty, right, I could learn iOS. I could get a job. In all honesty, I could learn Android. I could get a job. I don't know why I chose.
But Flutter has a big appeal over iOS and Android.
It's because they are new.
No, it's cross-platform. That's why. That's why it's better than iOS and Android.
No, but I could learn React Native. We was just
exactly.
already.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's just a React Native thing.
Yeah. But in all honesty, if you go to basics, right, I literally like choosing things that is not normal. A bootcamp wasn't normal back then, even though it was heavy.
It was still pretty new.
It was pretty new. People was kind of like, should I join?
It was like when Grab first went into the market.
Yes,
and was giving out
you
promo
are right.
codes.
Yes. Even though the government really pushed for it, was 4 or 5 years ago. The government was really pushing, go join a bootcamp because you can get a developer job and you can earn. That's what the government literally wanted you to do.
Government basically wants more tech-savvy people to build innovation in the country.
Exactly. And
right?
there was a high demand for tech talent. And back then, they were also more like, I would say they don't mind hiring people lah.
Okay.
Right?
So what I did after I learned, sorry, just a quick sidetrack
No
again.
worries.
What I did was I went into the path of entrepreneurship, building projects, building my own startups. I was going crazy building a shit ton of startups that all of them failed, by the way. So just wondering, why didn't you consider going that route?
I did, but at the same time, I felt that my technical skills wasn't good enough, and I was scared to start my own business. I was
right, you were not confident to
wasn't
take on
confident.
projects on your own because you're just not confident.
My
waiting for
mindset
it.
back then was just get a job.
Get a job.
Employee
It's very
mindset
different, right?
first, very different.
Want to get a job first, right?
I
Build your
didn't.
skills.
Yeah. Even though I had a classmate who already was starting her own company, like a startup, right?
Did it go well? Did it go well?
I mean, she still has
She's still running it now
Still
from
running
the
it.
boot camp.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
amazing.
respect to her. She's really doing
what
it.
do they do in one line?
I mean, to sidetrack a bit, what she basically, Klook.
Yeah.
So Klook is basically a way for you to book, travels, like what do you call that, rides, and for example, you want to go for a theme park,
Yep.
so you just book through Klook.
Yep.
For her, you can book similar experience but more towards native experience. So for example, you want to ride on elephants, rather than going through like a huge company, you go through to the actual person who's doing it.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's her.
And she started this and she built the tech herself.
Yes,
Oh
correct.
wow, that's really
yeah. From that, and then after that, I think she hired
she
people,
hired people
after.
that. So
but,
she's
but
like
she
a
know.
semi-technical
Yes,
CEO,
correct,
which is
correct.
amazing. I think it's amazing.
Very rare for founders
Very
to go
rare,
through
very
that.
rare. If you're a
but she wanted
CEO
it.
who knows code, you are
Very rare.
Fine. Okay,
Yeah, so
so
going
if
back,
you could
yeah.
go back in time, what would you do differently when it comes to your whole journey after graduation? From doing that teaching job internship to going to your Flutter internship to then landing a Flutter job and then becoming a YouTube creator and all that, right? What would you have done differently?
I would say that, for me, I always have this mindset that I would never change anything back then, but with the information now, what I would change is that, first of all, I would post more on LinkedIn. Right now, LinkedIn is quite flooded, but back then it wasn't. So if you are posting quite often back then on LinkedIn, you'll probably be the most popular person. Yeah, because LinkedIn back then in Singapore wasn't popular. Second thing is that I would build a lot more. I was also already building projects, but I will build a lot more projects to showcase on LinkedIn. And then if I really wanted to get a job, I wouldn't go to Flutter. I would go through iOS or Android.
Legit.
If I really wanted to get a job before 6 months.
Why not web?
I didn't have interest.
Oh, right. You mean
Yeah.
back in the days?
Yeah.
Because your interest was in
Mobile.
mobile.
I don't know why, but I like mobile lah. Like it's something that I can always, and it's more visual than web. That's my opinion lah. Yeah, but for me, I would say that I would, honestly, I would go iOS. I would literally learn iOS and become an iOS developer. Yeah. If I wanted to get a job at a faster rate.
Really?
Yes.
So that's a big change that you would have made to your career back in the days, right?
Yeah. Maybe I will be a iOS developer expert rather than a Flutter developer expert. But
Interesting.
I would have the same drive in terms of like learning and building projects.
Okay.
Yeah. So
what was your first full-time tech salary, by the way?
my first full-time tech salary was 3.2K.
Sing,
Sing,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
So
which is an average salary or below average?
it was an average salary for a degree
Okay.
back then. So for me, there was a huge plus because first, I'm earning as much as a
Fresh graduate.
average fresh grad
Amazing.
degree.
Yeah.
Now it's increased because
Yeah, of course, of course.
But back then I was like, I got no degree. My whole journey took me 3, 6, roughly 10 months.
And the best part is you didn't have to go through an opportunity cost because uni students don't get paid when they're studying uni. And for you, you were working throughout that 1 year, you were doing shit and you were getting experience as well. So not just you cut down the time, you also removed all the opportunity cost that comes with university, and I think it's amazing. Good.
Yeah. So yeah, for me, it's worth it. I only spent 2.7K. I got all of it back through the internship, my first internship, and then I got my first full-time job after 3 months in the second company, and then
what's one thing about coding that you enjoy?
I would say that coding makes you think. Sounds weird, but it makes you think because you are solving a problem. Because if I were to compare before my coding journey or life, right, I wasn't really thinking that much.
Right.
I was like, I was in psychology, so I was like researching. And school makes you
Memorizing.
memorize,
Oh,
which
shit,
I
we say it at the
really,
same time.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I didn't really like memorizing. I'm a person who likes to understand. So with that fundamentals, right, I only remember things that I understand. So when in coding, right, I will only remember things when I understand how to, create variables, functions, or solve a problem.
Yep.
So with coding, right, you literally had to solve a problem. We makes you think a lot. We makes you force yourself to understand what the problem is and how to solve it.
Okay. So let's
But-
put
yeah.
coding and bootcamp aside.
Yeah.
What is it about tech that you enjoy the most?
Solving
Like being a techie, right? Being a tech person now.
Yeah.
What do you enjoy doing the most?
like right now or back then?
Both.
Okay, if I would say back then, I already mentioned it, I like to solve problems. I'm a person, if I have nothing to do, I would just like to think of like, oh, why is this like this? Why is it like that? How can I solve it? How can I make this better? I'm that kind of person. I cannot not think.
Right.
I always like to
Now?
think. For now, why tech is still very good is
No, why you personally enjoy it?
like coding.
Yeah. Tech stuff. Not just
Oh,
coding, anything
alright.
tech stuff. It could be working with no code tools.
Right. So I would say like generally tech is fundamentally doing something that's not normal. Correct or not?
I mean,
Right?
it depends. Tech is very broad.
Innovation is basically building on top of what's existing and finding something
Yes.
different.
Yes.
And different is faster, cheaper, better,
Yeah.
right? So for me, I'm aligned with tech is because I always choose not normal things.
Right.
My decisions are not normal.
Right.
Going through a boot camp is not normal because on average, people don't go through a boot camp. Going through an internship without a degree is not normal, right? Quitting your degree is also not normal, right? Yeah, I
Right.
mean, but on average, people don't quit their degrees.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So for me, I'm aligned with tech is because tech fundamentally, number one is the fastest of choosing not normal stuff, right? So I'm aligned with that because all my decisions are,
And it's only the not normal ones who are going to make change in the world.
yes, and they are usually rich. So I'm like, okay, I'm
Okay.
aligned with that.
You're on the right track. You're on the right
yes, I'm on
track.
the right track.
Yeah, okay. So for me, when it comes to tech, right, the two things I enjoy a lot wasn't even the act of coding itself. For me, it's number one, understanding that tech is the only thing that allows you to build a system to reliably deliver every single day, even when you're asleep. That's my number one realization back in the day. So that's what made me really like tech. The other thing I like is in innovation, like you said, but for me, it's understanding the new technologies that we can use to speed up development by 2 to 3 times. So that's my interest. And now we have a little bit different interest there. But see, the beauty about tech is it allows us to have different interests, but along the lines of tech, to build innovation.
Exactly.
Amazing. What's one piece of advice that you would give to people who wish to career transition?
So I would say that it really depends on your situation. So how painful is your current situation? That's what I will ask, right? If your situation is, if we were to, deep dive into your current situation, right? So for example, for me, right, my situation was painful because I didn't want to earn, because my plan was for 4 years, I'm going to earn $1,000 a month. At the same time, learning a degree. For some, it's okay. For me, it's not. For 4 years, I'm going to stay the same, earning $1,000 a month. Is that something that I would want? And for that kind of like questioning, is that painful? And that was very painful for me, right? So for those who are, interested in career transitioning, always question yourself: is this what you're doing right now something that you want to do for 4 to 5 years? If the answer is no, then the next question is, what is something that you want to do, right? So like tech itself, it's something that I think we believe is going to shape our literal future, right? Tech is just innovation, right? And the thing is that if you want to stay the same, then stay the same, right? But I believe for those who are listening, you want to change. You want something better. You want something that can make your life better. You want something that you can earn more money. So if that's something that you want, then I would say explore the tech industry. Because the tech industry is literally in every industry. Food and beverage. Restaurants right now ask you to scan QR code to order. Who develops that QR code system? Probably a developer. If you were to go, for example, a mall, right? And then now they ask you to pay through the kiosk rather than through a cashier. Who is building that system? Probably someone who knows technology. And then if you were to go to sports, if you want to run, you use a smartwatch. Who builds that technology? A developer or someone who's in tech. Everything right now is already be inbuilt with technology already, and it's getting better and better, right? So for those who are planning in career transition, right, I would say that every industry right now is using tech as we speak, and at the same time, now is the easiest time to learn tech because number one, you have better things to learn from. Number two is that you have ChatGPT. For those who don't know what's ChatGPT, it's a very smart chatbot that can answer like a human, and it can explain certain things in an easier way. So you don't have to hire anyone. You don't have to hire someone to make you learn. Or maybe through the coding bootcamp you don't understand, you can just go ChatGPT and see what's your errors. So for those who wants to go to career transition, I would say, what is stopping you, right? Because if you were to get the job opportunity as close to 3-4 months, right, wouldn't it be better? And once you get a software developer job, your opportunity to do more things. Because I have a lot of people who learn tech, they want to be project manager. Sure. Some of them want to be UI UX designer. Sure. Some of them prefer to do tech sales. Sure. But the baseline is tech, right? So when you do career transition, you don't always think about, oh, I want to be a software developer. It's like, what can I do in the tech industry? And for you to stand out in the tech industry, you need to learn tech. And I believe, or we believe, that the base is just learning how to code. And if you learn how to code, right, a lot of things you can do well, right? And then right now, I don't do a lot of coding, but I know that if I don't have the fundamentals of like coding, right, and how things works online, I cannot do a lot of things that will automate a lot of stuff. For example, I'm doing a lot of operations right now. So normally if a student sign up for Sigma School, right, for, to help them get a job, right, normally what we would do without any tech is you will hire a virtual assistant or an assistant or yourself to send an email. But now, because I know tech, I know automations, I don't have to worry about it. And that is the difference between spending 10 minutes of my time versus spending no time to, help a student join us in Sigma School, right? So these kind of things, I would say, is something that will fundamentally change how people will see you as an employee, or for those who are starting a business, as a business owner as well. Because I believe that if you want to be better in the future, you always have to learn tech, right? And if you prefer to stay the same, then there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to always be on the better end side of things, tech innovation is always something that you should be at. And right now should be the best time, because not only it's going to be easier, since something is easier, there's going to be more competition. And that's where the hard part will come in. Yeah, so that's my advice for career transition people.
Awesome, man. Thank you, Haris. I think I understand your story a lot better now. And for anyone who's considering reaching out to Haris, you can ask him about his story, ask him about coding bootcamps. I think he's a real pro when it comes to using his tech knowledge in maybe even in non-coding ways, right? In building automation stuff without coding. And I think that's a really good skill to have.
Yeah.
And like you said, it all stems from having the skill to understand tech and being able to code. That allows you to then extend this skill to any other industries later on. It's up to you. So yeah, thanks, Haris. And I think that's all we have for today.
All right, and thank you guys for listening. If you like this podcast, do share around. For those who you think might want to, career transition, I think this podcast will definitely help. So with that said, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.